Hey, it's Pete from PokeGrade, and welcome to the SG podcast.
Fantastic. Thank you, Pete. How are you doing today? You well?
Mate, I'm great. Yeah, really good. How are you?
Good, very well. And I'm really grateful for your time. Thank you so much for coming on. Um, as you know, one of my good friends is Gav, who's running the Cardiff Card Show. And as sponsors and people that work with Gav quite closely, I wanted you guys to be one of the first people on the show. So thank you for taking some time today to answer all my questions.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks a lot for having us on. It's an honor and a privilege, mate. I've always been watching a lot of your TikTok videos, so it's great to have this. That's awesome.
Thank you. So with yourself, how do you find? Because I know you guys are at the shows and your stands are always really nice and nice and big as well. Make quite a statement when you're at the show. So how do you? What are your sort of thoughts about being at shows in front of people?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic opportunity for us really to kind of like engage with people on a direct basis.
Yeah.
One of the strong points I've always felt about PokeGrade myself, and something that I try to sort of instill into the people that work with me, is that just speaking to customers, taking the time with them, no matter if they look like they've got a collection that's worth 100,000 or a collection that's worth £100.
Mm.
You never judge a book by its character, and we took that ethos to the last show that we were at in London, and some of the connections we made from just having that approach by standing out the front, talking to everyone, putting a leaflet in their hand, and then when people were responsive to that, there's tremendous value in it for any trading company. The ones we obviously haven't been to like as many as what we've wanted to be, but we've got to that stage now where I was actually a spectator of one of the shows, and then I realized I was like, we've got to get involved in this. Like, we absolutely have to be a part of this.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, and it turned out to be our last one that we were at was like a huge success off the back of it. Just brilliant. People have been able to see our product like there in
Yeah.
front of them rather than see the pictures and the edited photos. Not that we do, we don't edit any photos that we post on social,
Oh,
apart from apart from just doing the odd sort of light filter to
yeah.
make it look a bit brighter. But it was just great for us to show our product and be like, look, guys, like this is where we are now compared to maybe what your perceptions might have been last year. And we know where we stand in the market as far as what we have got at the moment in comparison to all of our competition. So yeah, shows are important, man. They really are.
Yeah, and I love the idea as well that you guys are going down the route of very. It's not just Pokemon, right? You've got the different branches now as well, like actual, like almost like own companies sort of set for each side as well, which I think is really cool. I love that idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had to one thing I really sort of focused on when I started PokeGrade, and I just wanted to like say, obviously we were the first company in the UK to say we're going to start grading cards.
Okay.
We'll go into like how I started PokeGrade and how I got
Yeah,
the funds to.
that's
Because I
great.
literally started from scratch with very little startup capital, and yeah, basically, we were one of the first to sort of announce what we were kind of going to do, and we wanted to pay respect kind of to Pokemon because there are a lot of people out there. If you remember, it was a little bit hostile when we first sort of started. A lot of collectors with PSA not liking what we're doing,
Yeah,
and we
that's
get
fair.
it. Even to this kind of day, people have got a lot of money invested in PSA, and we get it. Like, you're not our market. Eventually,
Yeah.
maybe you'll cross over or whatever, or give us a try or whatever, but it caused a little bit of a rife. So at the very least, I realized I was like, everybody's going to start grading. The very least I can do is just focus and dedicate myself on one thing and something that I actually have an affiliation with, which was Pokemon as a youngster. And it's taken us, we founded the company in November of 2020. It's taken us, just under 2 years to get to where we are now.
Yeah.
And obviously, in that time, 95% of what we've done has been Pokemon. And I
Yeah.
feel like, it was just out of respect to Pokemon collectors. I knew that everybody was going to start a grading company. And the one thing that I announced to do is like, I've got to be Pokemon specific because obviously I have an affiliation with that from when I was younger. I didn't
Okay.
really know about other TCGs, and I didn't want to play people. I didn't want to just come and appear like this money grabbing business person who wants to just get rich quick and do this stuff. So I was like, right, let's focus on Pokemon. Let's do it properly. And off the back of that, it's really paid off. People can turn around and say they've done 50,000 cards or 60,000 cards, and when they haven't got a population report to prove it, it kind of asks the question, you
Okay.
really. Whereas with us, we have done the 20,000 that we say we've graded. We've got a population report to prove it. And
Yeah.
I think if you look at all the companies, like we're the ones that have really shown the most improvement.
Okay.
We're not so much a smoke and mirrors company. Like, look at it, look at that. Like, you'll just see from when we first started, that was the first kind of case. That was the first label. Then we did this, then we did that. And we just continue that ethos to just keep reinvesting. At the moment, we got a brand new website that's being built with some really cool functionalities that I think
Oh wow.
collectors are going to love. Yeah, we've got a really, really good designer who did our database. And, okay, we haven't had like 20, 30, 40,000 pounds to be able to put into it yet, but slowly but surely, we're just putting more and more funds back into it. So realistically, we can catch up to the level where people say, let's look at PSA, let's look at PokeGrade. Other than 30 years experience, like the
Yeah.
product is like, and the
Yeah.
service, the main thing is like how can you fault us other than just purely experience? And that's another thing, obviously the people who work with PokeGrade, I'm very happy for them to sort of, be shown to the public. And, I've been working here since the start. My other employee, he's been working here the whole time. We've had another person who's been working with us for over a year. All of our
Wow.
designers are all local as well. Like we don't rinse through staff. And these people are getting more experienced.
Yeah.
And we're happy to start showing people like these are who they are. We're a family business as well. One of my main employees is my cousin. It's just great. Like,
Yeah.
it's just great. So yeah, obviously PokeGrade, I realized we need to start getting to sports. I mean, again, a lot of us here, massive sports fans.
Okay.
As a youngster, I played, you name it, I kind of got involved in it. I've climbed the highest mountains in the Pyrenees. I've played
Wow.
semi-pro football when I was younger.
Oh wow.
In the Bournemouth Academy, I had cross-country trials for England when I was very young as a long
Oh
distance.
wow.
So, Pokemon, we love it, but now sports, it's like this is a real passion of ours as well. So
Yeah.
it's just great now for us to actually you imagine like 20,000 Pokemon cards in a couple of years between a small team.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to see other things, like our knowledge is just increasing continuously. And that's the way I think to do it, because honestly speaking, I think if I was to go and start the grading company and just do everything, like realistically, yeah, we're an encapsulation service, but now it's like we understand the difference of the ways how sports are made different to Pokemon,
Yeah.
how certain floors are easier to get with one type of card compared to another.
Mm.
And you take all these things into consideration, and that's just how you kind of approach how to grade specific cards, just not all under the same kind of scale, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, there's so much to it. There's so many layers.
And with that side of things, when you're like for you personally, is there anything that you look out for? Is there anything that is it the autograph cards? Is it the numbered cards? What sort of things personally does Pete look for when they come, like just to go, wow, that's cool? Like, what's the sort of things that gets you sort of excited with it that comes
I
through?
mean, it goes without saying, it's a great question. It goes without saying that anything you've not seen before is
Oh,
immediately an opportunity to kind of learn, like, hey, where is that from?
that's cool.
What set is it? What promo is it? And you just, those little bits of gains just like
Yeah.
get your knowledge straight away. And then when you have chats like in the future, or we do more promo and someone brings it up, or if someone shows me something, it just like proves to them, I go, that's such and such from this pro. And they're like,
Ah,
hey,
yeah.
they're like, you're not just a guy who's, because
Yeah.
imagine like you, mate, Pokemon's been my life for like 2 years.
It is,
And
yeah.
in 2 years, it's amazing when you dedicate yourself to something, how knowledgeable you can kind of become. And I
Yeah.
still know I wouldn't say I've not scratched the surface, but I still know that it's just continuous, right? It's
There's
just
so
like
much.
another set, another set, another set, another
Yeah.
set. So we have to be kept on our toes that kind of way. But what do I look out for? I mean, obviously, again, anything I've not kind of seen before. From a Pokemon stand, anything new. If it's new and it's just come out, obviously we're all over that like a rash, because like we're collectors ourselves. Like it
Yeah.
excites us to see the new artwork and to kind of get it in front of our hands and just interpret it and just be like, this is going to be a big card. Like this is going to be really popular. Like you just know it, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's interesting because a couple of times when we've done that, obviously our following on Instagram, we got like 8,000 followers,
Mm.
1,000 on Facebook. I think across all socials, we're like touching on 10,000 followers, which is kind of good for
Yeah,
Pokemon.
it's good. Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of good. When we say we think something's going to be good, it's interesting to see then how that happened, how that reflects on like eBay and stuff.
Oh
When
yeah.
we look at the secondhand market and see like, okay, like this is actually like starting to push. So there's, it's having that influence on the Pokemon industry in the UK. Like, yeah, it's a responsibility as well that we're
Yeah.
starting to create as our brand gets bigger. we do have the most 5-star reviews out of any grading company in the UK. I think we've
Oh,
got
wow.
like 145 now out of 147 or something.
Yeah.
You start to become responsible for the scene a little bit, like I'm sure you feel, Sam.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
part of it. Everybody knows everybody, and you just
Yeah.
want to make sure you do the best thing, not to kind of step on anyone's toes, but and work collectively with everybody who's just, wanting this same goal, which is just have fun and just make sure that the collector gets really good value when it comes to preserving and grading their cards.
And for yourself as well, what's the main things that you would personally collect? Do you have any sort of like collection goals or anything that you've got, like this is my one binder or my one card
Yeah,
or
yeah, sure.
anything for yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a really good question. So what I tend to do is I tend to go for one or two of the big cards out of each set.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
personally don't have the time or the capacity to really kind of collect, in complete sets. So what I'll do is I'll normally go for like an alt art for a set, a
Yeah.
cool bit of artwork, spend around about 100 and 150 pounds on a card.
Okay.
Generally, my budget for each set at the moment is around about 300. I'll buy a booster box, see what I get, and then I'll also buy an alt art, and that's me.
That's
Saying
cool.
that, all the other bits I've accumulated in the past, I'm actually starting to get rid of to then kind of level up. You get
Okay.
so many
Yeah.
cards and then storage becomes a bit of an issue. So then you go, right, I'm going to get that. I don't even mind selling at cost or even a bit of a loss. And then I'll take all that money and then I'll get, just one card,
Yeah.
or you turn 50 into 5. And that's my goal, is really to just sort of like collect, like invest,
Level.
and let time try and see, even if I take a little bit of a loss, but let time kind of like, if I get a bit of value, great. If I don't, whatever, because it's fun for me. Like, I'm not doing
Yeah.
it to make money. I just do it like because I
Yeah.
like it. Right? It's fun,
And the
and
artwork.
some
Yeah.
yeah, and sometimes making a bit of money is just like the extra little bit of great. Like, could have done a lot worse with my money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. True.
And yeah, just sort of level up. Um, and I'm big into sports at the moment.
Okay.
Getting it. I love Pokemon, obviously do, always will, but sports is like a different ball game altogether, because you have numbered cards, and things you
Mm.
can literally say this is number 8 of 25 in the world or whatever.
Oh, cool.
That really does, like, from a collector's mentality, create a big kind of like stir. And getting into the sports industry and learning in the UK, like who controls it, how they're
Mm.
controlling it, and what's going on, has been really interesting for me.
Oh,
And
okay.
off the back of that, I've been
Yeah.
able to kind of like plan my attack on it. And so look for PokeGrade to be going in really aggressive with, not again to step on people's toes, but
Yeah.
just to continue with our goal, which is just
Yeah.
offer people better value. I mean, you might have seen we just produced a card for a famous boxer.
Hmm.
I don't know if you saw that at all. I've got one actually here. His name's Chris Smith. So he's a professional boxer,
Oh,
and
wow.
he's the British and Commonwealth and European title holder at the moment for cruiserweight.
Oh, that's cool.
And I basically approached Chris and just said, look, let's produce some numbered cards for you, and you can autograph all of them. We'll encapsulate them for you, and then we'll sell them, and then put all the proceeds to your chosen charity that you're an ambassador for. And Chris jumped
That's
on it
cool.
like a rash.
Yeah.
And off the back of that, we had a really good chat, about, how there are certain sportsmen and athletes in lower tiers of
Yeah.
sport that realistically have excellent followings and have really good connections with their followers and the people that love what they do, but don't have anything to kind of like provide to them.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
off the
wow.
back of this, it's opening doors into, not only are we a grading company, obviously I look at people who manufacture sports cards and I go, this is crazy. At the end of the day, there's some people that are just buying up all the stock. They're breaking it and opening it, which is fine. And then they're just the people who actually support these clubs and love these clubs are having to pay a fortune because they can't get hold of the stock to get a piece of, a card of the player that they love. So I
Yeah.
thought,
Wow.
obviously, we're never going to get licenses realistically until we do a lot of groundwork with the bigger clubs. But what our goal now is kind of what we're working on is working with kind of lower tier divisions of sport and
Okay.
professional athletes, and approaching them and going, look, we've got the infrastructure to manufacture cards. We can encapsulate them for you. We can distribute them straight to the people who buy them, and we can put extra funds into charities and also into those sports people as well. One of the things I spoke to with about Chris, this is a really top level fighter,
Yeah.
talking about, like, unless you get to that top tier, there are so many boxers who don't make it past 10 fights, even if they've kind of won them, because the money's just not there. And boxing's a bit of a
It's
stale
like
kind of
not sustainable.
yeah, it's an old kind of industry that's, if you look at UFC, they're so on it with like
Mm.
collectibles and like ways
Mm.
of kind of, helping the fighters to kind of like survive, even if they're on the lower tier.
Mhm.
So many boxers have to dedicate so much of their life into it, get punched in the head, and at the end of it, come back a little bit worse for warm. So, off the back of this, hopefully, it's going to open some doors for us to manufacture, as I say, sports cards for semi-pro or lower sort of tiers football clubs, and then allow the football clubs to sell the product directly to the supporters and the fans of that club, not people that are buying up stock
Yeah,
in a branded box and then selling it back to them at a ridiculous price.
yeah,
So that's what and people don't like us for that. I say don't step on toes. Sometimes in business, you kind of have to do things that kind of annoy people a little bit to actually, if your end goal is to make things better for the customer.
yeah.
And that's who I
Definitely.
care about at the end of the day. It's the customer. So that's one of the things that I'm focusing on really hard at the moment in our sports division.
Yeah,
So yeah,
what a thing to do as well, and it also supports the clubs or the people within the sport, and as you say, it helps. It's almost like the top tier level of merch for somebody like that.
yeah,
It's not just selling a hoodie; that is like a collectible. The whole
yeah.
the whole thing is a great idea. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've just realized one of the things I've realized is not to like limit ourselves, just
Mm-hmm.
because we're the grading company. I mean, obviously we can't sell cars on the second-hand market. It's too much of a conflict of interest and it would
Yeah,
just destroy the brand and we can't do that. But we can still do things like we can have our own card show. We can, manufacture sports cards if it means that we can offer, a chance for collectors to get a better service and a better product with the teams and from the players that they love or that athlete
yeah,
and we can do that as long as the intentions are actually like legitimately right.
yeah,
And then and as long as our overheads are kind of covered, I'm not looking to necessarily like make a profit on that. It just gets the sports grade brand out there,
yeah.
and already the foundations are kind of being laid to kind of just go on from that. So that's yeah. At the moment, sports is like a big focus of mine. Pokemon is kind of always got my attention, and I'm overseeing it, but the team have been doing Pokemon for like, nearly 2 years. So I can kind of like take a back
Yeah,
seat from that. And now it's like, right, what's next?
yeah,
What department do we kind of grow? And I mean, we've had like good, affirmation that we're doing the right thing. I mean, PSA got in contact with us in February.
okay.
The actual owners of PSA,
Oh wow.
Collectibles Universe, a guy called Alex Goodman, messaged us and just said, "Hey, I've noticed you guys what you're doing. Let's have a video call. Let's have a chat." We had a chat with them, got to know them, and I kind of wish I didn't really do it because,
Oh
yeah, I kind of wish I didn't really do it because I feel that they kind of planned their attack off the back of, me just saying like, look, like
yeah,
you don't want me as your competitor. Like I'm really competitive and I really want to win. And I will work 14, 15-hour days, just to really, just make
yeah,
sure we're getting ahead. And I kind of wish that, when they contacted us, I just let them talk a bit more, because as you can tell by this podcast or anyone watching it, I love to just explain. I think it's passion, right?
yeah.
Like
That's it.
I'm passionate about what I do and just
Yeah,
actually being able to do something that is actually like kind of having it's being noticed by collectors, right? Like they kind of, and that goes for all the grading companies in the UK. Like what's happening in this kind of grading scene and what has been happening in the last couple of years is such a like, whoa, like what's going, like, do you know what I mean? Like what
yeah.
we thought was always solid and was always going to be there is now being kind of
Challenge.
challenged, and that's making them go back. And mate, like I said, I started this company in the front of my lounge, doing a card subscription to get the funds. And we're up against people like PSA who've got venture capitalists. They're a $1 billion company behind them,
And
and
that's
they're contacting
yeah,
me, with an email saying, "Who are you? What are you doing? What are your plans?" And off the back of that, they kind of made their plan with Ludkins, I guess. But
that,
you never know what the future holds. But to get there, kind of to know that they know who we are,
yeah,
that was like a big like moment for me to go like, okay, like we're in the right track. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
As long as we stay humble,
yeah,
listen to our collectors, ignore the naysayers, and just
yeah.
carry on focusing on, building our brand, offering value. Like I think, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So yeah,
Yeah, I agree. And as you say, it's like it's the whole thing of when your competitors are trying to do something, or people that you see as like the goats or whatever it might
yeah,
be, the people that you see doing that have something to say about you or want to pick your brain or something like that. You're just like, when you, as you say, once you finish it, you take a step back and you're like, hold on a minute, they're either worried about what we're doing there, they've noticed what we're doing, like all of it, we're doing something, we're getting in the right places because they're seeing us, and it's
I
that's
mean,
cool.
it's strategy. I mean, it's strategy, right? I mean, the way they kind of look at it, they've got the weight to kind of message us. And I won't lie, when I got the message, I felt
That's
a little bit
exciting.
giddy, like, oh, okay, let's talk to them,
Yeah.
and they probably use that weight of who they are to like accept the call. And then before you know it, they're finding out about everything that we're doing and what we're doing. And off the back of that, they plan their attack. Yeah, I mean, we're quite transparent with everything
That's good
anyway.
to be anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when we had the call with them, they asked how many subs we're getting, this, that, and the other. And I kind of was pretty open with them and said, look, you can see how many we've done. You can see what we cost.
Yeah.
This is the amount of employees we've got. We're a profitable company, but we're not millionaires. Like, crying out loud, everything costs everything, with the cost of living, with materials and things going up. Like, everything is like, it's just growing, but very gradually. And obviously off the back of that, they made their moves with Ludkins, and I guess they're kind of in the situation of, well, go and really compete with us and build a company worth us considering. But I think I've got 10, 15, 20 years of hard work to do
Yeah.
before that even happens. And obviously not, at that point, would I even want it to happen? Who knows, but for the main part of the moment, like, my focus is just basically to make sure that we have a part of like all sides of the industry. Like, can we manufacture cards and work with, sports stars who will help our exposure with grade, and just make sure our service and our product offering is like really, really good. And also have a card show which allows us to interact on a one-on-one basis with, collectors intimately, where we're not kind of in other organizers' pockets where they could just say to us, sorry, you're not coming this year.
Yeah.
So, there's loads of things that I'm aware of, and planning our kind of like strategies based on, and I'm sure other companies are wanting to do exactly the same. I don't think any person who runs a grading company is an idiot. If you think it is literally just sitting there, printing off labels and encapsulating things, like, you got another thing coming. Like, seriously, like, I've said in previous kind of interviews, I used to work for a marketing and advertising agency before for around about 4.5, 5 years, and I got to work with mainly SMEs, so small medium enterprise. And believe me, like, this industry is like one of the toughest I've ever been a part of, just because there's so many moving parts from a startup. The margins are very, very slim, and the things you have to do as an owner, just be a part of everything: the grading, the packing, the speaking to suppliers when things go wrong, the managing of staff, the accountancy, like learning how to use an ultrasonic welding machine and getting better at that and doing it properly. Because when we first started, Jesus, we don't have a clue what we were doing, man. But we had orders to fill.
What was it like when you first started? Was there like a period where you went, oh right, okay, now we've net, like, was there like a period of time?
It was probably like it's probably like 7,000-8,000 slabs in that we actually realized that, like, right, actually this machine needs to work like this and be like that. Because before, we could get a solid weld, but you could kind of like crack them or get them open carefully, whereas now, if you were to try it, you will damage the card if you were to just try and do it in your hands. I've had every single slab in here from all of our competitors, and they're not hard to get into, and some of them have got the best welds ever. If you really want to get into a slab, all you've got to do is get a wrench on the corner of it, crack the corner, prise it, and you're in within 2 seconds. And I'm sure our competitors know that, but you still need to get to a level when you weld a slab that you just can't do it like that.
You
can't do that like that. Or it gets to the point where you feel like, if I did, I'm just going to smash the card in and damage it.
Cool.
So I mean, we've actually got a new design that we're working on as well for our own slab. We've got our own design going on. So we're always going to offer the universal, but we've also made one where we kind of combined the kind of thickness of a Beckett and the smoothness of a CGC. We're gonna, because we think they're really lovely slabs in their own ways. And hopefully that'll be out before kind of Christmas time. We're just continuously reprinting, having a little look at the molds and the prototypes. Just making sure it's right. So then we're going to offer 2 different types of slabs, 2 different shapes. Cool. For people that like different things, because some people grade with companies just purely based on what the slab looks like
and feels like.
So, like, why can't we just offer them 3? Like, so again, don't limit ourselves. That's next for us as well.
And that's quite exciting as well. And by the sounds of it, for yourself, the most important thing is that you guys offer the best value to the customers. And as I say, if the customers want sports, or if they want that, we'll only do it when we're perfectly ready and we've researched it. But we will do it, and we'll go full on and focus on it. That sounds really cool.
Absolutely. Like we're so ready for it. Like, and the response, even at the last card show we were at, like it was majority sports,
Yeah, it was.
and the response we got obviously from the people that had our product and had it up in front of them and looked at it and looked at the quality of our, like, I know the quality of our new label. Look, I've looked at every label, like I've looked at all of our competitors, and the previous. It took us a long way to get there, but we're there now, and I know the quality of my product.
Yeah.
I know it. I just know it. Like I know where it stands and what you pay for it, and I think it's good. There's a couple of companies. There's only one other company in the UK that I look at that I'm like, right, I need to up some things to get onto your level. I think we
That's
all
fine.
know
That's
who
fine.
that probably is, but
Okay.
they've got somebody behind them that's got deep pockets, I'm sure. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. I'm continuously reinvesting back into the company, and you will see it. When we sit and have a chat in 6 months or a year, we will have grown, we'll have increased, and we'll have improved. It's impossible not to, as long as you just continue to work hard, have that good communication line with your customers, listen to them, implement, don't spend your profits, pop them back in, and it just naturally will happen. So there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, no, it's really, really cool. So we're coming towards the sort of the end. And I wanted to ask another question as well from more of a future side of things. You've mentioned a bit about the sports cards and things, and the new slab. Is there any other projects that you can share with us that you've got coming up? You mentioned that you want to do like a show. Where's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
going?
So I mean, at the moment, obviously, so we've got PokeGrade. Sports grade is now being focused on,
Yeah,
with grading sports cards and the manufacturing of collectible cards with, lower tier professional athletes, if not the top in some industries, if we
yeah,
feel we can add value to their fans directly. We've also got ProGrade, which is obviously for every other card. If you've got Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic cards or Digimon, and you want to grade those, we've got ProGrade, which is a red label, but still universally they look the same. And that's even if you grade all types of things. So if you grade Pokemon, sports, this, and you just want the same label,
same label.
go just go with ProGrade.
That's cool.
PokeGrade, and the way we do that is it's
That's really
great
cool.
because you have your own channels within your grading company for those specific communities. At the moment, every other grading company, because they do everything, it's like they've got a mixture of followers they're posting, but it's like, how do you know the percentage of what you're speaking, communicating to your audience, like sports or like Pokemon, or follow you because of that, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I guess they can kind of work it out from the engagement, but like for us,
yeah.
it's separate channels: PokeGrade Pokemon, sports grade sports people, pro grade just people who love everything. So we've got that.
That's
We've
cool.
obviously got the South Coast Collectors Card Show on the 30th of October. That's our first ever card show, and that is designed for all the local shops and all the local sellers, all the vendors, including a couple of the big names that we've got good relationships with, like Bits and stuff.
Yeah.
To come down free of charge, set up a stall, make some money. We'll promote the hell out of it, and we're again not doing this as a profit. We're doing this to build a brand and a card show for people down in the south, in Bournemouth and Poole, to come and have fun and just create a cool atmosphere. And hey, if you want to grade some cards at the end of the day as well,
Yeah.
then you can. If not, no worries. It's
Love it.
it's the most pleasure I get out of business. Like I genuinely just like having meaningful connections with collectors,
Yeah.
having a great time, having a good day, going home and just being like, that was a cool and fulfilling day.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's why I've kind of I've decided, look, we need to do something down here, because there's so many people I speak to. I'm like, oh, you coming up to London, the card show? You coming up? And they're just like, nah, I can't be bothered. It's like, all right, well, if it's down the road, can you
You have no
can you
choice.
will you be bothered there? Maybe they won't. They probably won't come. But no, that's on the 30th of October. We're going to have around about 300 to 400 tickets up for sale for that.
Oh wow.
And I'm going to make that live within the next couple of days. Oh, and we've also got a grading monthly membership as well,
Okay.
as a direct kind of offering to people who like to have a membership, and like to sort of collect every month and have a budget. So we're going to be releasing that within the next week or so as well, to cover
Oh
that
wow.
kind of area of things. And yeah, obviously we're going over to Holland as well in November for the Dutch Comic Con, because we've got a really, really good following in Holland.
Okay.
Man, there's just so much going on.
So much.
It's like we're really lucky, we really are, but it's just a result of hard work, like, and
Yeah.
just doing what you do, man, like day in, day out, getting up and just
Yeah.
being like, right, what can we achieve today? What can we do? What kind of contact or someone can we message? And just being consistent.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah,
That's
lots going
really
on.
cool. That's really cool. Well, my final question, you mentioned Walt actually. Oh, you mentioned bits. And each episode, at the end of each episode, what I like to do is ask a question that somebody else has left from a previous episode.
Oh wow,
And because you
cool.
mentioned bits, I'll use Walt's question, who's the UK manager for bits.
Yeah, Worlds is
And
great. Yeah, we met him. He's an awesome, he's a great
he's
guy.
really
Come down
cool.
and yeah, top guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's great.
So he left a question that says, now unlimited resources, forget money, forget whatever, no trades, nothing. What is the one collectible that you would go and get right now?
The one collectible that I would go and get right now. Do you know what? Oh wow, the one collectible that I would go and get right now. Wow, that is a big question. What, just like in Pokemon or what? Like in how would
Anything.
you?
Yeah, yeah, anything really. Like it could be literally anything. It doesn't necessarily need to be the most expensive. It's just, is there one thing that you're missing from your collection? One
You know
thing that,
what? Outside of like cards, like
yeah, yeah.
are we allowed to talk movie memorabilia, that
Yeah, of
kind of
course,
thing?
man. Yes, collectibles. Yeah, yeah, sure.
So my favorite film, as a youngster, one of the is Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
So I think it would probably be like one of the one rings from the film.
Oh yeah. What a
That
shout.
yeah, that or I don't yeah, I think sword, but no, I think it would be like the one ring from the film, like maybe the first one they ever made to like to go to the film to be used in the film. I think that's the cool. I think that would be a pretty cool collectible
That's
for
a
me.
really cool one. Yeah, what a shout. What a shout. That's really good answer.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you so much, Pete. It's been really good. If you could let everybody know your where to find you, website, social media, that sort of stuff as well, just so that they don't get lost.
Yeah, sure. So if you want to find us on Instagram, obviously it's PokeGrade UK. If you want to go to our website, all you've got to do to go is to find us is to go onto Google and type in Pokemon Grading UK. We're #1 organically listed on Google, so you can't miss us.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed getting to know you a bit more, and hopefully the guys listening as well have got a bit of a deeper connection with yourself and the company, and looking forward to seeing you at the next shows.
Yeah, likewise. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah, wonderful.
Cheers,
Brilliant.
Sam.
Thank you.